What's up, guys? We are back with a full slate of MLB action here on Monday, June 10th. Classic weird Sunday out there, guys. We got off to a pretty good start there with the Rangers minus 162. That one came through easily. The Pirates, unfortunately, the Pirates minus 105. They ended up losing that game in extra innings. Then we saw the Orioles come through minus 135. That one, put that one on the board. A solid win there. Then that crazy Royals game, they ended up losing by 1 run in extra innings after all kinds of weird late game heroics and stuff like that. The Padres, of course, could not possibly show up for us 2 games in a row, so I guess I shouldn't be surprised that they ended up coming up very small in that one. But we closed the day off strong with a win with the Yankees plus 106 winning on Sunday Night Baseball. So finishing up the day 3-3, not exactly what we were looking for, but let's go ahead and jump into this new week here and see if we can get off to a good start. First, guys, do me a big favor and hit that like button. It's a great way to show some support for the channel and all the work we put in here every single day. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. It's 100% free and can keep you from missing out on these picks. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description and go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Comment below with all the bets you're looking at today and we'll give you our best advice on all of them. We respond to absolutely every single comment, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our final picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Baltimore comes into this game looking for their 4th straight win in this series. They won game 1 of this series 6-3, followed up with a 5-0 win, then a 9-2 win there on Sunday. So very solid stuff. Hoping they can close things out here. They're 42-22 on the season, handing the ball in this game to Corbin Burns, who's 6-2 on the year with a 2.26 ERA. So he's been absolutely killing it. He's coming off of a very good start there against the Toronto Blue Jays, where he went 7 innings, gave only a single earned run. His start before that against the Red Sox, he shut them out over 7 innings. Well, he gave up no earned runs. He did give up 1 run. So I guess he technically didn't shut them out, but a very good start there. 7 innings in a game we saw the Orioles win 6-1. They're 4-0 over his last 4 starts. They're 5-1 over his last 4-1 over his last 5 starts because of that extra inning loss there to the Toronto Blue Jays in a game where he gave up only a single earned run. So regardless, Corbin Burns looking like an absolute monster right now. And the Orioles bullpen has actually been very solid, so whenever Corbin Burns comes out of the game, we don't have to worry too much about that. And this offense has been humming right along, guys. They've scored 9, 5, and 6 runs over their last 3 games. We see Gunnar Henderson killing it right now. Like, no notes for this offense. I mean, I guess their on-base percentage could be a little bit higher, but they're 2nd in the majors right now, guys, in runs scored. They're 8th in the majors, batting nearly 250 as a team. Their slugging percentage is still tops in the majors. They're holding on to that spot, a spot they've been in pretty much all season long. So yeah, just absolutely killing it right now. They're hoping they can keep things rolling here, going up against the Tampa Bay Rays, who have obviously now lost 3 in a row. They've actually lost 5 of their last 6 games against the Orioles, so kind of seems like they're in a bad spot against Baltimore. They're 31-34 on the season, handing the ball in this game to Ryan Pepiot, who's 4-2 this year with a 3.96 ERA. He's coming off of a start back on the 4th against the Marlins, where he looked decent. Not going to give him really elite status for that start. I mean, 3 earned runs over 6 innings against the Marlins isn't amazing. He did strike out 8 in that game, so we'll give him some credit there, but he didn't necessarily look lights out. This is going to be his 4th start since coming off the IL, and in starts against Boston, Oakland, and Miami, he hasn't looked terrible. He hasn't given up more than 3 earned runs in any of those starts, so we'll give him some credit for sure. It seems like he's rounding into form here, but those are not necessarily the toughest teams to face either. And in terms of their bullpen, the Tampa Bay bullpen just isn't amazing. It's a little bit below average, not one that we can super duper trust. And yeah, their hitters not looking great right now, guys. 2, 0, and 3 runs respectively over their last 3 games. Not having a good time in this series at all, and they are about to go up against the Orioles' arguably best starting pitcher, so that's a pretty big concern. They're 27th in the majors in runs scored, 28th in the majors in slugging percentage, so no power numbers coming there out of Tampa Bay. They're 21st in the majors in on-base percentage, getting on base at a 306 clip. Yeah. Guys, just not a lot of big positive things to say about this offense right now. They're swinging some pretty cold bats, and they're going up against a pretty tough pitcher, so just looking hard out there right now for the Tampa Bay Rays. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Orioles at minus 155, the Rays at plus 138. We see an over-under in this game of 7.5. Baltimore is very good on the road this year, guys. They are 21-10 on the road. Tampa Bay is 17-21 at home. We see both teams showing trends towards the over. Are we interested in over 7.5? I don't think so. I mean, Pepiot's been pretty good, and obviously Burns is a monster out there, so go ahead and give me the Orioles minus 155 in this game. I do think it has a shot to be relatively low scoring, but under 7.5 seems a little bit ambitious, and I just think this is a good spot to take the Orioles to win this game straight up. Next on the docket, guys, we have the Colorado Rockies going on the road here to take on the Minnesota Twins. The Rockies come into this game fresh off of a 5-1 loss there at St. Louis. Now they're going to have to go to Minnesota to start this series off. They're 23-42 on the year. Yeah, not exactly what you're hoping for. I mean, the Rockies did not come into this season with high expectations, and someone else who's not really having a great season in general is Dakota Hudson. He's 2-7 on the year with a 5.25 ERA. He's coming off a start there against the Cincinnati Reds where he went 4 1/3 innings, gave up 5 hits, 4 earned runs. He gave up 2 home runs in that game. Yeah, not having a great time pitching at Coors Field, and just in general this season not having an amazing time. I mean, I guess over his last 5 starts there have been some bright spots. He had a very, very good start there at the Dodgers, but the Dodgers were slumping pretty hard when that happened, so we're not exactly going to freak out about him. And yeah, just definitely have some question marks here about Dakota Hudson. Not that he's looked like a complete train wreck recently, but he's going up against kind of a tough hitting team, or a tough hitting team at times, so we'll just have to wait and see there. I mean, the Rockies bullpen is obviously not an amazing one. They're just not a squad that you can super trust to hand the ball to and finish off a game, so obviously, pitching at Coors Field a lot can be tough, but this game's not at Coors Field, so not a lot of excuses for them there. The offense has not been looking very good either, guys. I mean, we do see they're 11th in the majors in batting average, but they're down to 21st in the MLB in runs scored. They're coming off a game where they only scored 1 run. In their series against the Cardinals, not exactly a powerhouse team this season, guys. They scored 1, 6, 5, and 3 runs, respectively. Not great stuff. Not exactly the kind of offense that is going to win you games if the pitching staff does not have a great day. So definitely some big questions here facing the Colorado Rockies. I mean, there's a reason this team's 23-42 on the season. They're taking on the Minnesota Twins, who salvaged a game there against the Pirates, winning 11-5 in Game 3 of that series. It snapped a 5-game losing streak, so maybe the Twins are ready to get back on track here. They're 34-31 on the season, handing the ball in this game to Chris Paddock. He's 4-3 on the year with a 5.26 ERA. He's in need of a bounce back, guys. He got shelled by the Yankees the last time out. He went 4 innings, gave up 6 hits, 7 earned runs. That is a tough look. I mean, his start before that against the Royals wasn't much better, but before that he had back-to-back pretty solid starts there against the Rangers and the Cleveland Guardians. So the dude has shown decent stuff. The Yankees seem like a terrible spot for him, but they're also a terrible team to face if you're really any Major League Baseball pitcher, so gonna cut him a little bit of slack there. The Twins bullpen in general, guys, not exactly a fantastic one. They're squarely in the bottom third of the majors in bullpen ERA, so definitely have some concerns there, but no, nothing major. I think they could comfortably hold down a team like the Colorado Rockies, at least somewhat. They're not the best hitting team, and speaking of good hitting teams, guys, we did see the Twins go off for 11 runs. Definitely a bounce back from getting shut out 2 games in a row, and this is an offense that shouldn't be nearly this bad. I mean, they're down to 24th in the majors in team batting average, 23rd in the majors in on-base percentage, but they're around league average in runs scored and slugging percentage. Like, there's really not a lot of reasons this team should be so bad at the plate. They're just not having a great time, so maybe this is a good get-right spot for this team. I mean, looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Rockies at plus 188, the Twins at minus 205. We see over-unders of around 8.5, or I even saw some 7.5s bouncing around out there, so weird to see such widely spread out numbers there. If you wanted to look at the run line in this game, that could be something to make that Twins bet a little bit more appealing there if you're leaning towards Minnesota in this one. If you take them against the run line, guys, you can see that they have a pretty decent price of around plus 100, so that's not too bad. We're definitely going to be looking at that in this game. I'm leaning towards the Twins for sure. I think they're in a good position to win another game in a row, and I think the offense is in a great spot to keep cruising here going up against Dakota Hudson. So give me the Twins minus 1.5 in this game. I think it's pretty unlikely to make it into the pinned comment, though. Next up, guys, we got the New York Yankees going on the road here to take on the Kansas City Royals. The Yankees coming into this game fresh off of that solid Game 3 win there over the Dodgers to salvage a win in that series. They won 6-4, so thank you, Yankees. We'll put that one on the board. A solid win there. They're 46-21 on the season. Handing the ball in this one to Carlos Rodon. He is 8-2 on the year with a 3.08 ERA, so he has been absolutely cruising. He's coming off of a very good start there against the Twins, where he went 6 innings, gave up 3 hits, and 2 earned runs. He's looked very good over his last 5 starts. starts. Not exactly a murderer's row of opponents there, but still give him some credit here. I mean, he's looked good this season in general. It's nice to see the Yankees are 5-0 over his last 5 starts, so that definitely gives us a little bit of, a little bit of faith here in him to have a good outing. And speaking of having faith in part of a pitching staff, guys, the Yankees bullpen has been one of the best bullpens in the major leagues all season long. They've been consistently very, very good, so I think we can expect good things from them here, especially not going up against, well, I mean, that's not really true anymore. They're going up against a solid offense, so definitely still, though, expect good things from the Yankees bullpen as they've been good all season long. And this offense seems like they're doing okay. They looked pretty good there, winning 6-4 in the last game of that series against the Dodgers. They're clearly missing Juan Soto. What offense in the major leagues wouldn't be missing Juan Soto? It sounds like he wasn't actually available for that game on Sunday, which is a little bit messed up, since the information that was kind of being fed out to the public was that there was a decent chance he could DH or pinch hit or whatever, like he was available for that game. Apparently that was not the case, which is a little bit weird, but I mean, what are we going to do? If they want to feed us a little bit of weird semi-false information, I guess they can. The question for this game is whether or not he's going to be available to play in this one. Seems pretty unlikely that he's going to start. It seems like they're being pretty cautious with him at this point, and I mean, given how good the Yankees have looked this season, I don't blame them for, being a little bit cautious with him. Not that they have a ton of breathing room there in the AL East, but at 46-21, they're definitely cruising along. So that's kind of our take here on Juan Soto and the Yankees offense. Obviously, aside from him, this offense is still extremely dangerous. Supposedly, they hope he can return on Monday, but yeah, we won't really know until probably very close to game time, I would imagine. They're taking on the Kansas City Royals in this game, who just won 2 out of 3 there against Seattle Mariners. They gave it their all there in Game 3 to try and get that sweep, but came up just 1 run short, which was kind of disappointing. But at 39-27 on the year, they have to be pretty happy with that. They're handing the ball in this game to Seth Lugo, who's 9-1 this season with a 2.13 ERA. He's coming off a pretty rough start there, though, guys, against the Cleveland Guardians. He gave up 6 hits, 5 earned runs. He gave up 2 home runs, which is a big concern when you're about to take on the Yankees. Just did not look good in that game, and we saw the Royals take the 8-5 loss in that one. And when you start to look back through his recent starts, he's been dominant, guys, but not against very good teams. Like, cool, you struck out 12 against the Angels. Like, yeah, that's cool. That's a really cool number, but I'm not going to be that excited about you striking out 10 against the Oakland A's. He had a good start, but didn't have a lot of strikeouts there against the Rays. He's like, I don't know. It's just kind of tough to see him going up against a really elite offense. I mean, I don't even really categorize the Cleveland Guardians as an elite offense right now, and he didn't have a very good time against them at all, and he hasn't faced the Yankees this season. He really hasn't faced any of the super top offenses in the MLB, except for one start against the Baltimore Orioles, where he did not have a great time, and then a start against the Milwaukee Brewers, where he also did not have an amazing time, and we saw the Royals lose both of those games. So definitely have some questions here about Seth Lugo. We also, I'm not going to say we have questions really about the Kansas City bullpen. I mean, they've been solidly above average all season long, so I don't think they're suddenly going to be awful. I'm not going to be like, oh God, we have to watch out. The Yankees are going to destroy the Royals bullpen. Like, I don't necessarily think that, but I do think they've got a pretty decent shot here to put up some runs. The Royals offense, on the other hand, though, has been very good. They had a good series there, scoring 5, 8, and 10 runs respectively against the Seattle Mariners pitching staff, which is one of the better pitching staffs in Major League Baseball. So definitely some major credit to them there. They've been hitting the ball well. We see Bobby Witt Jr. is a monster. We see this team is 5th in the majors in runs scored, 5th in the majors in slugging percentage, which is pretty noticeable. They're just hitting the ball really well right now. The question is, will they be able to continue doing that against a very solid pitcher for the Yankees and a very solid bullpen? So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Yankees at -130, the Royals at +110. We see an over-under in this game of 8.5. We see the Yankees are 24-11 on the road, which is an MLB best road record. That's pretty interesting. We see the Royals, though, are very good at home, guys. They're 24-11 at home. So, take that for what it's worth. Both these teams very good at what they're doing right now. In general, guys, I'm leaning towards the Yankees -130 in something of a letdown spot here for Seth Lugo. I think he could have a hard time against the Yankees bats. If we get Soto back out there, this could be a play that ends up in the pinned comment, and I guess it could end up in the pinned comment either way, but I can't say that I'm locking this in as just a fantastic spot. It's just something of a decent lean here in a spot that would make makes sense for Lugo to have a bad outing. Next on the docket, guys, we've got the Toronto Blue Jays going on the road here to take on the Milwaukee Brewers. The Blue Jays come into this game fresh off of winning 2 in a row there against the Oakland A's. They won 2 out of 3 in that series. They've won 4 out of their last 5 overall to get to 32 and 33 on the year. They've got to be pretty pumped to hand the ball in this one to Jose Barrios. He's 5-4 this season with a 2.80 ERA. He's coming off of a dominant start there against Baltimore. We also see that the Blue Jays have won 4 out of his last 5 starts, so that's pretty nice. He hasn't faced a murderer's row of other opponents, but he has 2 very good starts against Baltimore in that mix, so that is absolutely nothing to turn your nose up at. The Orioles are an amazing hitting team, and he's going to be taking on an amazing hitting team in this one also, so that's a kind of interesting thing to take into account here. We see that the Toronto bullpen, not really one of the best, solidly in the bottom third of the major leagues, so just not a bullpen that we're super excited about. I mean, obviously at some point you would think Barrios is going to come out of this game, so how good is the Toronto bullpen backing him up? That, guys, I have some definite questions there. The bats for Toronto have also been a problem in general this season, but maybe not so much lately, guys. I mean, they scored 6, 7, and 1 run in this series against the Oakland A's. We see Vladimir Guerrero Jr. trying to battle his way up to a 300 batting average. But yeah, not a ton of guys on this roster that I'm super scared of to see at the plate. I mean, they're currently sitting at 24th in the majors in runs scored, 24th in the majors also in slugging percentage, so not a lot of crazy power numbers coming out of Toronto right now. So definitely looking at their offense as an offense that definitely has some question marks on it. Like, I'm not going to be terrified of this offense on the Milwaukee Brewers. They come into this game 38-27, fresh off of a loss there at Detroit, but they won 2 out of 3 in that series. They scored 10, 5, and 2 runs respectively, so that's not a disaster. They're handing the ball in this one to Colin Ray. He's 4-2 this season with a 3.53 ERA. He's coming off of a very solid 4-inning outing there against the Phillies. He went 4 innings, gave up 4 hits, but no runs, so a pretty solid bullpen appearance there. His last start was against the Chicago Cubs, where he went 5 1/3, gave up 5 hits, but only a single run, so he's looked pretty good in general. Going up against the Toronto Blue Jays probably isn't the scariest spot ever for him, considering that they haven't been the strongest hitting team, but they've been swinging the bats well lately, so maybe that's a little bit of a concern. The Milwaukee Brewers bullpen has not been terrible this season. I mean, not exactly amazing, like not a squad or not a unit that you're like stoked to see log a ton of innings, so that's a bit of a concern here, handing the ball to Colin Ray. Like, how deep can he actually go in this game? Definitely some question marks there. The Milwaukee Brewers offense has obviously been amazing all year long. I mean, they're sitting at 7th in the majors in runs scored, 3rd in the majors, batting nearly .260 as a team. They're getting on base at a .331 clip. Like, this is a very solid offensive squad. No major complaints from me about them at the plate, but how much offense are they going to be able to generate here against a guy like Barrios, who's a very solid starter? So definitely some question marks in this game. Looking at the numbers for this one, guys, we see the Blue Jays at -112, the Brewers at -108, and we see an over-under in this game of 8.5. We see Toronto is 16-18 on the road, so not amazing. The Brewers are 18-10 at home, which is pretty solid. We also see the Brewers are a big over team. They're 37-25-3 to the over this season, so I mean, I just don't see myself playing over 8.5. That's going to scare us off of the under. We might have considered the under in this game, but that number for the Brewers is definitely going to scare us off of the under. So looking at the which side we like in this game, guys, I'm actually leaning slightly towards the Brewers at home in this one. I think we're going to see the Toronto Blue Jays. They're not a great team, guys. They just really aren't. They're not a very good offensive team. This could be a low-scoring game, like I said, but I could also see the Brewers take advantage here of Barrios pitching on the road. So give me the Brewers as a small lean in this one. I definitely think they're in a spot where they could win this game. Moving right along here, guys, we're looking at the Chicago White Sox going on the road to take on the Seattle Mariners. The Chicago White Sox managed to split their 4-game series there with the Red Sox. Pretty embarrassing stuff there for the Red Sox, to be honest. The White Sox are 17-49 on the season, and they're handing the ball in this game to Eric Feedy, who's 4-1 on the year with a 3.27 ERA. He's coming off a pretty mediocre start there at the Chicago Cubs, where he went 5 innings, gave up 6 hits, 3 earned runs. Not a disaster start necessarily. I mean, he did strike out 7, but obviously not an amazing start. And we do see that the White Sox are 0-4 over his last 4 starts. He had a bad start in there against the Milwaukee Brewers. Hasn't had a ton of consistent success recently. I mean, 3 of his last 4 starts have been a little bit questionable. He had a bad start there against the Toronto Blue Jays, not exactly the best hitting team, so facing some questions here about Fede, and yeah, guys, definitely facing some questions here about the Chicago White Sox bullpen. I mean, definitely, and unsurprisingly enough, not a bullpen that gets me too excited. Not a lot of positives for this squad right now. I mean, in general, guys, their entire pitching staff is putting up an earned run average of 4.94, so not great there. They're also 28th in the majors in quality starts. Obviously, those aren't like amazing statistics to look at, but when you're allowing your opponents to bat 252 against you, just not a great pitching staff, and obviously not a great team in general. And yeah, they're going to have to find a way to score some runs in this game, which has been the biggest challenge for the White Sox, guys. They're the worst offense in the majors by a pretty considerable margin. They've only scored 203 runs this year through, a 17-49 record. Not too shocking to see that they're having a hard time. I mean, they're only batting 217 as a team. That's dead last in the majors. They're only getting on base at a 279 clip. That's also dead last in the majors. Like, this is just a terrible, terrible team at the plate, and they're going to have to figure out a way to manufacture some sort of offense here against Seattle Mariners, who come into this game fresh off of a 6-5 win there at Kansas City. They did drop 2 out of 3 in that series, but they're still 37-30 on the season, and they're sitting in the top spot in the AL West, so all of those things have to feel pretty decent. They're handing the ball in this game to Logan Gilbert. He's 3-4 this year with a 3.12 ERA. He's coming off a very good start there against the Oakland A's in a game that Seattle actually managed to lose 2-1. He went 7 innings, gave only a single earned run, and struck out 5 while walking none. Like, a very, very good start there. It was something of a bounce back start after struggling against the Houston Astros, but he's had good starts even against good teams lately. I mean, he had a pretty reasonable start there against the Royals, a good start against the Yankees back on the 20th of last month. Like, he's a big right-hander, and he's a very, very solid starting pitching option. And the Seattle Mariners bullpen, unsurprisingly enough, is very, very good as well. Clearly top 5 or 10 in the majors, and yeah, just a very good bullpen. Up and down, just a very, very good pitching staff, and that's kind of been the theme for this team. The pitching staff is excellent, but where is the offense? Sitting at 24th in the majors with 257 runs scored. They're only batting 222 as a team. Like, that is pretty tough stuff there, guys. Their on-base percentage is exactly 300, which is 25th in the majors. Yeah, this is just not a very good hitting team, guys. Did they manage to put together 6 runs yesterday against the Royals? Yes, they did. They looked pretty good in that series in general, scoring 6, 4, and 9 runs respectively. But yeah, this is just not a powerhouse offense. I can't reasonably expect them to put up a ton of runs. Looking at the numbers for this game, it's pretty crazy stuff, guys. We see the Mariners at minus 230. We see the over-under in this game at 6.5 or 7, so insanely low over-under. We see the White Sox at plus 195. We also note that the White Sox are 5-26 on the road, which is an MLB worst road record. Absolutely terrible squad on the road, guys. We also see that the Mariners are 21-11 at home, which is fantastic. That price on the Mariners is just very, very expensive, guys, and it's a little bit scary to take them against the run line. If you take them minus 1.5, you can get them at plus 100. So that's a little bit appealing. I think we're going to lean significantly here towards the Mariners minus 1.5. Is this going to end up in the pinned comment? Not 100% sure. I think this is a fantastic game to do a no-run first inning in, because I think offense is definitely going to be at a premium. Honestly, you could probably talk me into under 7. That's just too small of a number for me to get behind in this one. So go ahead and give me the Mariners minus 1.5. I think they find a way to get this done in this game by at least 2 runs. Rounding into the home stretch here, guys, we've got the Oakland A's going on the road to take on the San Diego Padres. The A's come into this game fresh off of losing 2 of 3 to the Toronto Blue Jays. They lost the last 2 games of that series, so yeah, not amazing stuff there, and it hasn't really been an amazing series or amazing season for the Oakland A's in general. I mean, they're 26-41 on the year. They've had a couple random bright spots, which is nice to see, but this whole franchise is in a pretty weird, pretty dark space right now, so lots of concerns there. They're handing the ball in this game to Joey Estes, who's 2-1 this year with a 4.67 ERA. He's coming off of a very good start there against Seattle Mariners in a game that the A's actually managed to win 2-1, and we will note that the A's are 3-2 over his last 5 starts, so that's something to take into consideration too. His last 2 outings were both fantastic. A great start there at Tampa Bay, and then that very good start we were just talking about that was at home against the Seattle Mariners. So I think we can feel pretty decent about Estes. How good can we feel about the Oakland A's bullpen? Not necessarily amazing. They haven't been quite as bad as you would expect them to be, but still not a great bullpen unit. So got some question marks here about their their relief pitchers, but maybe the offense can pick up the slack. It's not something they've done consistently, but it happens every once in a while. They scored 4, 0, and 2 runs in their series against the Toronto Blue Jays, so that's all a little bit disappointing. They did have an 11-run outburst in their series against Atlanta several days ago. So, I mean, good for them, but yeah, clearly not a very good offensive team. And they're taking on the San Diego Padres, who come into this game fresh off of yet another disappointing loss, guys. The Padres are having a just ridiculously mediocre season. This should be a much better team than they're showing. They lost 9-3 their last time out against the Diamondbacks. 34-35 on the year is not where this squad is supposed to be at. They're handing the ball in this one to Dylan Cease. He's 5-5 on the year with a 3.51 ERA. He's given up at least 3 earned runs in each of his last 5 starts, though. And, I mean, he has pitched against the Royals, Yankees, and Atlanta Braves over that stretch. But his last time out, he went 6 innings, gave up 3 earned runs, 2 home runs to the Angels. So, yeah, just not amazing stuff. We are not super high on Dylan Cease in this game or just in general in life. And looking at the San Diego Padres bullpen, it's been part of the struggles here. I mean, not a great bullpen for sure, not one that you can really count on, and you can't really count on Cease to go that deep into games. I mean, over his last 5, the deepest he's gone is 6 2/3, so it's not like we think he's going to put up 8 innings out there and then hand the ball off to the closer. Not really what I see happening, and the Padres offense, definitely not one you can count on, guys. In their series against the Diamondbacks, a 4-game series, they scored 3 runs in their last game, 13 the game before that, then 10, then 3 again. So this offense all over the place. You never know when they're going to erupt for one of these crazy nights. Somehow they're 8th in the majors in runs scored. Like, this should be a top 10 offense. It just does not feel like that on a night-to-night basis, guys. They're first in the majors batting at .262 as a team, and I just honestly can't say that I'm super scared of this offense on any given night. Like, sure, they could pop off and score 13 runs, but there's a very reasonable chance they're going to score 2. Like, you just don't know what you're going to get out of them, so that makes them a very annoying team to bet on or to bet against. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see some more weirdness. We see the A's at +170, the Padres at -205. We see an over-under in this game of only 7. That seems incredibly low, but not like we have 2 amazing offenses going up there, although the Padres could easily cover that number all on their own. So what are we actually going to look at for this game? I mean, we don't expect a ton of offense from the Oakland A's. In general, I'm kind of shading towards the over in this game. I think there's a decent chance we'll see 8 runs scored in this one, but I also don't think the Oakland A's +170 are a terrible spot. It's just a really, really weird game to me, guys. We may end up just staying away from this one. If you're forcing me to bet it, I guess give me the A's +170 and also give me over 7, but yeah, this one's just too weird for me. I don't know what we're going to see from either one of these teams. Feels terrible betting on the Oakland A's on the road. They're only 11-21 on the road, but the Padres are only 15-20 at home. So yeah, just keep me away from this one. I don't really want any part of it. Last but not least, guys, we've got the Houston Astros. They're going on the road to take on the San Francisco Giants. We see the Astros, they're coming into this game fresh off of a tough 9-7 loss there against the Angels. They couldn't finish off that sweep there. I mean, they did win 2 out of 3 in that series. They're 30-36 on the year, which isn't exactly where they wanted to be. They're handing the ball in this game to Spencer Arrighetti. He's 3-5 this season with a 5.79 ERA. He's coming off of a very short outing there against the Cardinals where he went 3 innings, gave up a single earned run. His start before that at Seattle was very, very good, guys. He went 6 innings, gave up only 2 hits and no runs while striking out 8 and walking 3. His control is a major concern, guys. He's walked at least 3 hitters in each of his last 3 starts, so that's not great. He's looked a lot better recently than he looked in the early goings, though, that is for sure. He's had his struggles this season. He looked absolutely terrible. I didn't know what to think. The cartoonishly bad numbers he was putting up over his first 5 or 6 starts, something like that, were just absolutely bad. But he's kind of pulled things together recently. So I mean, I'm not going to be looking at him as any sort of plus level pitcher, and I'm also not going to be looking at the Astros bullpen as above average because they certainly are not a great bullpen unit in general. So kind of all of the pitching out there for the Astros is going to be making me a little bit nervous, and their bats really aren't looking amazing either. I mean, they scored 7, 6, and 7 runs in their series there against the Angels, but this team just finds a way to not score runs. It feels like pretty often. I mean, the series before that against the Cardinals, they scored 4, 8, and 7 runs respectively, so that's also not terrible. They're 10th in the majors in runs scored. They're 2nd in the majors batting .260 as a team. I mean, they're 4th in the majors in slugging percentage. You would just think this team would be piling up tons of runs every single night, but that just does not feel like the case. Phillies. They're taking on the San Francisco Giants in this game, who just took the loss there against the Rangers in Game 3 of that series. They were unable to finish off the sweep. They're 32-34 on the year. They're hitting the ball in this game to Kyle Harrison, who's 4-3 on the year with a 4.18 ERA. He's coming off of a kind of mediocre start there against the Diamondbacks. He gave 8 hits, 4 runs, 3 of them were earned, and struck out 5. He didn't give many walks in that game, so I guess that's nice. But this was his bounce back game after getting obliterated by the Phillies. He gave up 12 hits, somehow only 4 earned runs and 2 home runs in that start against the Phillies. But yeah, giving up 12 hits in 5 innings, that's a pretty tough look. So in general, we are not super high on Kyle Harrison, shocker of the year. We're also not crazy high on the Giants bullpen. I mean, yeah, maybe not a complete disaster of a bullpen, but not great. Not a bullpen that we're excited to see Harrison hand the ball off to. And he's only gone 6 innings once in his last 5 starts. All of his other starts were only 5 innings. So we're going to see a hefty dose of that bullpen almost for sure. The Giants hitters come into this game fresh off of scoring only 2 runs in that last game against the Rangers. But in that series in general, they also didn't look great, guys. They scored 2, 3, and 5 runs respectively. Not an offense that's terrifying to me. I mean, they're around MLB average. They've got 283 runs scored, which is exactly average in the majors. They're 16th in the majors in slugging percentage, but a slugging percentage of 382, not exactly scary stuff. They're 12th in batting average, batting 246 as a team, but not a lot of guys on this roster that I'm terrified to see up there at the plate. So looking at the numbers of this game, guys, we see the Astros at -125, the Giants at +105. We see an over-under in this game of 8. Houston is 11-18 on the road this year. That's pretty terrible. We see the Giants are 17-14 at home. That's not too bad. Looking at the over-under for this game, with it being at 8, we do see the Giants are an MLB best to the under. They're actually 39-24-3 to the under. We see the Giants are a slight over team. Not too interested in the over-under in this game, guys. However, we are fairly interested in the Giants +105. I think they find a way to get the job done here at home with Kyle Harrison on the mound. I know he hasn't been lights out recently, but let's be honest, Spencer Arrighetti is also not a lights out guy. If you're forcing me to bet the over-under in this game, I probably like the over more than the under, given the 2 starters and the 2 bullpens we have going at it out there. But in general, guys, I'm just going to be looking at the Giants +105 in this one and not too interested in the over-under. That's all the games we have for today on this short slate, guys. Hit the like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we will see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.